Never forget where you came from. Never forget where you were. Sometimes we get ourselves so big. Our heads become so big for our bodies because of where we are and what we've done, and look where I am and look how much money I'm making, etc., etc. I came to this country with $7,300 pinned to my wife's bra. That's all we had, and we ran out of it. And when I started with this company, I didn't have $249 to pay my mortgage. So I had nothing when I came in. And anything more than that was a gift. Don't forget where you came from. And by that I'm saying, don't forget that it's your opportunity to give back and support other people that don't have.
What's up, insurance industry? I'm Peter Reichter, the host of the Insurance Influencers podcast, hosted by All Caps Media. And this is where we dive deep into the insurance industry, find out what really makes it one of the most profitable industries in the world, and such an interesting industry for individuals to get into these days. Today, we have one of the founding fathers of American Income Life, and what I like to call one of the OG class. His name is Mr. David Cohen, and he actually founded the Cohen agencies, now known as Cohen and Velasquez. Sorry,
Yes,
previously known as Cohen and Cohen. How you doing today, David?
I'm awesome.
Man, so retired now, huh? How's that like?
Retired from my position at American Income, but still doing everything I did before under the Cohen Velasquez umbrella.
Very cool. Very cool. So, David, for anyone who doesn't really know, about American Income, or maybe even that doesn't know about the Cohen agencies or Cohen Velasquez agencies now, can you give us a little bit of a backstory on your personal life? Really what makes you tick, going all the way into a little bit of how you got started with the insurance industry.
I started with American Income Life a little while ago, back in 1977. I was brought in by my brother-in-law, who was working with the company at that time, to an agency that was run by...
David, can I pause you real quick? I'm sorry.
Sure.
Can I have you scoot a little bit closer to the camera?
How we doing?
Perfect. And then I'll have you restart, and we'll have the editors cut that out. Don't worry about that.
Cool. I started with American Income Life back in 1977 when the company was relatively young. Company, actually, when I say relatively young, the company was founded in 1951, the year I was born. So still 26 years, but the company was still in diapers, and the company was still growing at that point. Mainly focusing on labor unions and credit unions at that time. Company has grown quite a bit since then. We can cover that a little later. Excuse my voice. I was brought in by my brother-in-law, who was working with American Income Life at that time. Most of the people that were in the agency, most of the people who were in this organization were individuals that came in by word of mouth, or as we call it, personal recruits. Very few ads, if any, went into newspapers or any publications. There was no social media. There weren't any cell phones. This was the antiquated time back in the 70s and 80s, before all of that came about. To tell you that this was on the list of things I was going to do in life, no, it wasn't. I was a military man that served, went to a military school, served for 6 years in the Israeli army, and I came to this country in 1976, early 76, with the ambition to go into a good school and to get my education and move up from there. I was accepted to UCLA. I took 2 quarters at UCLA as an econ major, and ran out of money. When you talk about run out of money, to put it in perspective, a quarter at that time for a non-res student was $700. I didn't have the $700. And my father loaned me the money, and I was not going to take it. My attitude was, I'm going to make it and I'll get back to school at a certain point. So I started studying for the insurance license, and I went out in the field not knowing a damn thing about it, not knowing what I was saying or what I was doing, but I learned that presentation word for word and went out in the field, and what do you know? People were actually buying policies, and I was making more money than I made before. So the reality was, the harder you work, the luckier you get, and hard work was never something that scared me. I did get up to the point that I was one of the top salespeople in the company. Finished between second to fifth place for 3 consecutive years. And as a result of it, obviously, you catch the eye of the CEO. I developed a relationship with him, with Mr. Rappaport, may he rest in peace. A wonderful relationship that lasted for quite a number of years. And when my predecessor decided to retire, I got the call to come in and jointly run this organization. The first partnership I had was not Cohen. The first partnership I had was Cohen-Leonard. Lenny Leonard, who taught Bernard Rappaport how to sell insurance back in the 50s, was my direct master general agent, and we became partners. I was a junior partner. He had 2/3 and I had 1/3. And to tell you that I knew what I was doing, no, I did not. I knew how to sell. I knew how to manage people. I knew how to lead. But those things I got when I was in my young 20s.
You touched on that a little bit more. What was it? What was the gentleman's name? Lenny
Leonard.
He taught Bernard Rappaport to sell insurance.
Bernard Rappaport.
A little bit about who Bernard Rappaport was.
Bernard Rappaport, the founder of this company. And Bernard used to tell the story about him taking this broken suitcase and taking a bus to Bogalusa, Louisiana, to go out in the field with Lenny Leonard to learn how to sell insurance. This is back in the 50s. Lenny was a master salesperson. No one could do what Lenny did, but if you learned from him how to master the business and how to sell, you were very successful. Lenny passed away 7 months later. So we took over the organization on the 1st of October, 1982. Lenny passed away May 3rd of 1983. And lo and behold, I'm sitting around trying to run an organization, not knowing what I'm doing, not understanding the business, and learning by trial and error how to make this happen. I wasn't able to lead people. I was able to get people to success, and I was able to surround myself with the right type of people during that period of time. To put this in perspective a little more, my predecessors that supposedly retired went into direct competition with this company and moved into the building next door.
Oh, really?
They took all the top salespeople. They took all the top public relation people, went into direct competition with American Income Life. I'll leave that for somebody else to talk about. Offered me a pretty lucrative contract that was more than double what I was making with American Income Life. There's something that is called integrity. It's something that's called loyalty.
Not a lot of people
and when someone depends on you and when somebody counts on you, you don't just turn your back and walk away. That was, and the fact that I had a relationship with Bernard Rappaport made it even more important for me to stick with what I was doing. I came into this business with nothing. Worst comes to worst, I could have ended up with nothing. I decided to stay with them. They just made one mistake, by the way. The statement that they made before they walked out of my office was that I was going to fail. That's all you have to tell me. Because now I'm double stubborn to make sure that it happens. History speaks for itself. We had a very successful agency that did extremely well for quite a number of years. And I'm just talking about Southern California. At a certain point, I was given the opportunity to take over San Diego. I was taken an opportunity to take over Hawaii. I was given the opportunity to take over Arizona, Nevada, New Mexico, El Paso, Texas, ran 10 offices in 6 states. How, I can't tell you. Didn't make sense being on a flight every week or every other week, but it happened. It happened, and
this was all under the
this is under David Cohen agency. David Cohen agency, yeah. And I had a partner by the name of Richard Rutt that ran Hawaii with me. For a while, I had a partner by the name of Steve Hartman that ran Arizona and Nevada with me for a while. And going back to about 20 years into it, Richard Rudd joined me again, and then decided to move to New York and to take over the new office that was opening in a new state. Cohen started in 2007. I brought my son in from New York. He was trained by Richard Rudd in New York. My son broke away from the company and was recruiting young girls on Fifth Avenue to get into the movie industry. And I said, if you can dress up with a suit and tie and walk down Fifth Avenue in New York trying to find young girls to come into an orientation with you, you can do anything you want.
Yeah.
Come, I need your help. So he said, I'm just coming to help you. That was the opening sentence. I'm just coming to help you. So he came in to help me.
Is this still under the Bernard Rappert era?
Oh, yes. This is still under Bernard. No, hold on. No, that's not true. That is under Roger Smith. Roger Smith took over the company prior to that.
Okay. So talk to us a little bit about that. Let's go back to that. What was it like when Bernard was the CEO? What was it like under his leadership? What type of leader was he to your SGA body back then?
Bernard was an individual that connected with people, and Bernard was an individual that had a belief in what he did for the labor movement and what he did for working people. So it was the insurance business, but it was the impact of what he had on that market, on the fact that he could help working people. If it's donating to labor causes, if it's donating to the Democratic Party, he was extremely involved politically. Someone that is extremely close to my heart. Someone that I will forever remember and forever be thankful for the opportunity that he gave me. Roger Smith was an individual that grew up with me in the same agency or the same place, give or take, during that period of time. I knew Roger very well. Roger did extremely well as a state general agent. He wrote a book, so I will not go into that. You could read the book and find out Roger Smith's history, but I'll tell you that we had an extremely good relationship, and we're still in touch with one another. Roger had a vision, and Roger was a doer. Roger took this company from where it was, writing $50 million, and doubled and tripled that productivity over the period that he was the president and CEO of American Income Life. The fact that he could have taken that company at that point and built on what Bernard Rappaport had established, the foundation that he gave all of us in this business, is in itself a phenomenal story. Yeah. Going back to Cohen. So Micha came into the business and started to help recruit. And he was really good with that. Not young girls on Fifth Avenue. It was just people off the internet and people off of resumes that were sent in. But he turned around after a few months and said, why am I building all of this and giving it to other people to benefit from it? I might as well just build my own agency. He became a master general agent for a couple of years. And in 2007, we became partners. A little challenging at the beginning to partner with your son, because he's my son and yet he is my partner. And it took me a while to understand that regardless of his age and regardless of what the relationship with me, he was in an equal playing field, and I had to accept his ideas and his motivation to do things as much as I had to accept mine. I paid for his education. He graduated college. I didn't. So I had to use what he could bring into the business to make this happen. Cohen did very well. Cohen did very well for quite a while. And we dissolved the partnership about 2.5 years ago. September 29th, 2 days before my anniversary, which was, I became an SGA on October 1st, just before that. And I said, I will do everything I know how to do, everything that I've done until this point, but I need to break away from it. I love what I do. I love this business. I love this company. I love what it has provided me and my family. But he moved up to a partnership with Sean Velasquez, who was with us for almost 10 years, did a phenomenal job as a master general agent and a regional general agent. And I got to tell you something. I am extremely proud of where they are today, 2.5 years into it. They're building, they're motivating, they grew the agency, they grew the leadership team. And it's a pleasure to work with the two of them and to be in a support role in this agency.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Yeah, no, Sean's a great guy. It's awesome that you're, it really tells a lot about the insurance industry that you would bring your own son into the industry and want him to have a career in it, right? I mean, it's like, I know what I do. I love it so much, and I would love my kids to be a part of it. But it's also, I know that my position could be very challenging. I know your position at the same time, I'm sure has been so challenging at many times. Can you tell us a little bit about some of the more challenging times, and maybe even some of the points in your career, maybe when you were at your maybe most impactful, and maybe it sounds like maybe was it more in like the Bernard area where you were like, where your agency, you had a solo agency, right? And you were running the most territories. What were some of the biggest adversities that you went through during those times?
I took over an off and running agency, and people always say, well, you were lucky to have an off and running agency. Yes, I was lucky. It was established, but I gave you the history of what I had to deal with the first 3 years until my predecessors went out of business and I was able to survive. So the reality was those were tough days. Taking over territory. I remember Bernard Rappaport coming into the office and saying, I'd like you to take over Hawaii. Beautiful. Hawaii. What's so bad about having an agency in Hawaii? We got on a plane, we flew into Honolulu, and the next morning we went to the office that was established in Honolulu at the Gold Bond building on the way into the city. Went up the back stairs and walked into 2 little rooms that were maybe 500 square foot, 2 desks, nothing on them, 3 file cabinets that were empty. The office was basically non-operational, no leads, and that was our lifeline to work with labor unions and to bring leads. So Bernard says, okay, let's go to the phone and make some telephone calls. This is foreign territory to me. So we get on the phone. Bernard's trying to make contact with the labor movement in Hawaii and gets the phone slammed down time after time. Next day he leaves and says, Sonny, you can handle this. Good luck. Bye-bye. I don't have people. I don't have agents. I don't have leads. I don't have public relations. I got to start from scratch with an office that is 3,000 miles away from me. That's a challenge. Tried one person that I put out there, got my ass kicked. Took a second person, put as a master general agent, got my ass kicked. Took an individual that was with me, Henry Mizuno, may rest in peace, was a fighter during World War II. Henry was in his 60s, came from Hawaii, so I said, Henry can handle it. But Henry was a wonderful person, but he couldn't handle an office. But I'll tell you a little story about going out with Henry in the field, because he knew Hawaii, he knew Honolulu. So we go out in the field and we have 8 appointments and we're going back to back, one after the other, pouring rain, and we finished the day with nothing.
Oh, man.
And I'm saying to myself, something is wrong here. I was not able to make one sale with Henry. I said, Henry, what's wrong with us? Why? He said, look at your shoes. I said, what's wrong with my shoes? He said, you didn't take them off. You go into an Asian home, you take your shoes off at the door. Now, my shoes were wet. My socks were wet. I didn't take them off at the door. As a result of it, I didn't sell. Just to show you what you need to learn in every new territory that you go into. I almost gave up Hawaii. A year and a half later, things were not happening, and I said, I got to give the keys back and say, this doesn't work, because every time to get on the plane to go to Hawaii, it's flying out at 5 o'clock in the evening, getting there at 10 o'clock at night, going to work the next day or 2 days, grabbing the midnight flight, coming back, 5 o'clock in the morning you land and you go to work again. This was not an easy thing. Richard Rutt came aboard with me 6 months before, and he married a girl from Hawaii. And he said to me, let me go out, let me do it. And he did an awesome job surrounding himself with some real key people that were with the company for a long period of time. And he became my partner in Hawaii for quite a while. And he did an awesome job with Cohen Rutt Agency in Los Angeles in the early 2000s. So that's a little bit of a challenge that turned into a positive. Give you the same thing with 3 other offices. Go take over Arizona. Arizona is sitting in Nevada. Nevada is sitting in a strip mall. You walk in and there's a room in the back that is used as a meeting room. 2 agents, no leads, no public relations. You got to start from scratch. And public relations those days means you got to go out and you got to nurse labor unions. You got to go out and you got to do your mailings yourself. You got to go out and pay for the postage yourself. I mean, all of it was expenses that we had to take upon ourselves. I was doing very well in California, but I had to take the profits from California and invest in these other areas. Arizona was on lock and key for 2.5 years. There was nothing there. The company could not operate because of the reputation that we had with the labor movement in Arizona. That took 1.5 years to put together. Incidentally, we're talking about bringing people in. Both my brother-in-laws one ran Arizona and Nevada, and one ran New Mexico. So I brought people from the family to help me do it. At a certain both were master general agents. At a certain point, I took my cousin, who I brought from the Dominican Republic, Joshua Shalom, who is still a state general agent up in Toronto, and I moved him to Nevada, to Las Vegas to run that. He moved back to Canada eventually, became very successful and ran his agency. And today he has a partnership with his son in Toronto. So yes, this is all personal connections that you have with people. If you believe in what you do and you're successful with what you do, you want to reproduce yourself in terms of other people, and you want to give other people the opportunity that you had coming into this company. Yeah. So those are some of the challenges. I can tell you the same story from New Mexico. I can tell you the same story about El Paso, Texas. El Paso, Texas, I did give up after 9 months because that was way beyond.
Because it's like you had the problem of you needed to grow these territories, and the solution that you did, and in my opinion, was a staple of what we try to find out on this podcast is how, iconic, influences to the industry like yourself really influence the industry. And what it seems like is one of the, a layup diagnosis for myself really is you were really the best first personal recruiter. You know what I mean? You were personal recruiting the doors off of the company, and you made in my mind, from what I could see, the most everlasting personal recruits, from Josh to your son to, so many individuals that are still at SGA today or were SGAs. So
I'll give you a better one.
Okay.
People that left the company and came back. Dominic Bertini, executive vice president of the company, I hired in 1986.
Oh, wow.
Dominic went back to Italy, came back in 1991. I hired him again in LA. Back and forth with me, and then the second time he returned from Sicily, he became a trainer with the company. Take trainers. Ernie Lovelace is one of the directors. Rudy Kamenzen, one of the directors with the company. So people that were influenced by their upbringing in this organization, they became key people for the company.
Wow. So what was it? What is it about personal recruiting that like, what was it about it, or what was it about recruiting that made you such a special recruiter?
I think it's back again to relationship. If people believe in you, if people respect what you do, we go back to those two words, loyalty and integrity. They have both of those features. You can build with people like that. That will carry you way, way, way beyond just a business relationship.
Yeah. And so you had great relationships beyond business relationships with all these people.
Yes. And the feeling I have, and hold on, there's no lights here because there's no movement. Putting back into the company and putting back into individuals that come in after you. For over 10 years, I had the privilege to be invited to teach new state general agents how to manage the business, how to manage profitability, and how to cater to the clients in a better way. So once a year, I went in for a couple of days to Waco or to Dallas to work with, or to McKinney to work with new state general agents. Not because somebody pats you on the back, and not because somebody's paying you for it. It's putting back something into the pot that fed you and brought you into the organization. And I'm retired, supposedly. I still have state general agents that show up here or come in and ask if they can spend a couple, 3 days in this organization to learn how to do it effectively. With pleasure. That's what you got to do. You got to put back into the pot that feeds you.
So what was your theory? Like, what was your strategy on personal recruitment? Like, would you show your, like your cousin Josh, would you show him, how much money you were making? Would you tell him about, the values of the company? How would you do it slow, or would you make it quick? You know what I mean? Like,
you always have to find people that have a seed of discontent. They're not happy with what they're doing. If somebody's happy with what you're doing, don't remove them from where they are, and don't try and shake the base. But when somebody's not happy, or someone's not making money, and someone's looking for an opportunity, then present the opportunity the way it is. Tell them the truth. Let them understand that this is hard work. It's not about money. I never, ever, 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 ever shared my 1099 with anyone. People always want to know, how much money you're making. How much money did you take home this week? How much money did you make this year? That's mine. And that should not entice somebody to come into the business, because you would have to work the same way that I worked for 45 years in order to make that happen. So I know other people will put that on social media, will put that on their Facebook, will put that the cars they drive or the house they live in. My point is that should not influence you to come and work with me. The fact that I have a Ferrari or a Bentley sitting in front of my office should not be the influencer. That's my personal opinion, but it works for others, so more power to them. I'm not criticizing it, but that's the way I operate.
Got you. Definitely. No, more, and I respect you for that, right? Because it's good to see something different when you see so much of that these days. So let's talk a little bit about, I know it's a segue into something you said. I don't really like to talk about it too much, but it's actually the next category that we were going to go over is what was the income and compensation like back then, back in those days of under the Bernard Rappaport era when you had all those territories and you were almost like, what it seems like, the Altig of back then, right? Like, one of the larger territory owners or, one of the larger agencies, or am I wrong with that?
At that point, I think Altig was a lot bigger than me, if I remember correctly. Roger, Eric Giglione, Altig, Jimmy Ceres, Mark Zipper. There was a group of us, Larry Janezer, old timers that today everyone is somewhere in their 60s, maybe getting closer to 70s. I know that I have the claim to fame being the oldest guy out of that group. Roger just turned 70. I just turned 71. So it has nothing to do with age. Age is a number. I think we all worked together. We all supported one another. We all communicated with one another. We worked together on the council. When Roger took over, we formed a council that supported Roger's change. Some of us were the ones that put together the first training manual back in 1986 in Waco, Texas. Not that we were asked to do it; we volunteered to do it.
I think I saw a picture of that there, right?
Yeah, it's those are good old days. I mean, it's a long time ago. But that is the team, and those are the people that built this company and took it to where it is today. Yeah. Today, to tell you the truth, I don't know 80 or 90% of the state general agents. It's a different world. It's beautiful to see a bunch of younger people that are doing a phenomenal job taking this company. First 2 months this year have been great months. There's great growth in the company. So, yeah, thinking back to where we were and what we did and the influence that we had, we were all young guys in the 20s when we started. We all appreciated the opportunity that we had. We all made money. We were all successful in what we did. We used to sit on Fridays and compare notes and who did what and who beat who, and it was a great relationship to have. Yeah. But let me tell you something. Running for me, Altig, my hat is off because he surrounded himself with a great team of people that has taken a great area with hundreds and thousands of people doing what he's doing. I was doing most of it myself. Yeah. Or some of it with a partner here and a partner there. And it is hard to do, especially when you have a family and you're raising some young kids. My kids at that time were in not even teenagers. Micha was born when I was working in this company. He was born in 1979. I started in 1977. So yeah. My kids grew up in this company. But running around and doing what I'm doing and starting my day at 5 o'clock in the morning and going till whenever and flying out from one city to the other, that's challenging. At a certain point, there's a price to pay. And thank God I was able to find some sort of a balance and at a certain point narrow the responsibility so I could enjoy life together with the opportunity that I had.
In like the 80s and 90s, what was the general demographic of the insurance industry? Was it mostly men? Was it older or was it younger? You said you guys were younger, so was it a lot of younger guys in the industry, or was it still a lot of
I have to say that the agency, when I came aboard, if I need to take an average age, most likely it was between 50 to 60. Majority of the people, all personal recruits, were aluminum siding individuals. The characters that you see in Glenn Gary and Glenn Ross, that was this agency. Not as many young people as you would think.
Was it mostly men too?
Changed, mostly men. There were some women, but even the women were women in the 40s and 50s and 60s.
Why do you think there was less women in the industry back then?
I don't know. I think it was more of a man's market. I think women started coming in and women became extremely successful as they joined and gave the competition to the guys. Today, there's some awesome women leaders in this company, awesome producers in this company. I'll give you an example. I hired Lily Sakai almost 20 years ago. 19-year-old kid that was going to fashion school. She had a tough time at the beginning.
She's a monster.
Going out to people's homes as a young girl is very challenging. And I think that's part of the problem was a woman going into someone's home is a little challenging. She almost quit after 8 months. Somebody took his time and worked with her. And here you have a young lady that after 20 years is making a fortune in terms of money, has an awesome renewal account, married and has a child, and is able to balance her home life together with the business life, and she's happy. She's happy. I mean, these are, somebody sticks with you for 20 years. They don't stick with you for 20 years because they're just making money. They will stick with you because you have a relationship. They'll stick with you because they respect you. They'll stick with you because you are, I wouldn't say I'm a father figure for her, but I could be. My daughter is way older than Lily. So the point I'm trying to make is you surround yourself with people that you connect with. And then people bring in other people as a result of it.
Love it. So tell us this, change can be like an adversity in itself, right? Like when you're a team or a company and you go through a bunch of change in systems or leadership, it can be really challenging. What were like the biggest challenges or some of the biggest changes that you saw that happened when the adjustment went from the, Bernard Rappaport era to Roger Smith becoming CEO and having his reign?
I don't think there was a big change from Bernard Rappaport to Roger. Roger grew up in the Bernard Rappaport era. Roger was with Bernard Rappaport in fact, longer than me for that matter. So that would be 25 years almost. So we were all disciples of the same organization. We all grew up with the same mentality. We all grew up with the same know-how. Some of the challenges that we have is when we change systems. I'll give you an example. This is in the 80s. This is still under Bernard Rappaport. We used to get a lead card that was mailed back, a postcard. And we went to what was called the AD&D certificate, where we went into a union, we offered something to everyone and got the lead back. We lost at that time a good chunk of the agents because that new lead did not work for them. That's a big change that we had in the agency. Changing the financial system when Torchmark took American Income. That was a big change when Torchmark bought American Income Life out. It was an unknown to us. We didn't know, are they going to fire us? Are they going to merge us into another company? They were smart. They invested into this company. This company today is the shining star of the globe company. So anytime you have change, we fear change until we realize what it brings in. Is it positive and is it negative? You can always try and find something negative in any type of change, or you can hone in on the positive and maximize the opportunity that you have with the company at that point. Torchmark did an unbelievable job in terms of growing this agency, growing the company for that matter, offering financial opportunity, and put the right people in place to get this to get this company going.
Yeah. Very cool. Very cool. So with Roger's reign in the company, he ended up switching over to Stephen Greer. How was that switch? How did the company change when when we ended up switching over to our current,
again, I'll tell you what, if you ask Steve Greer and you ask David Zoffin, they'll tell you it was challenging to them at the beginning. Especially when you come from within the ranks of the state general agents, it was a different era than Roger had, different timeline. Social media was big, change of marketing for this company. The last 3 years moving during the the COVID era, moving into the Zoom sales rather than person-to-person sales. I'm not a person that loves the Zoom and loves the connection over the internet. I like to see people eyeball to eyeball. I want to see people face to face. I want to be able to touch. I want to be able to influence an individual. It's a lot harder to do it, but there's an art to it. And they have done an awesome job. And I can tell you, just watching this agency and what happens today with the people they bring in and the productivity that those people have, it's phenomenal. So all these changes make a difference. And Steve Greer and David Zoffin were able to embrace that change and to put it to work. And it has been very successful. So I spent maybe 3 years with Steve Greer running the company, and then I stepped away. At the same time, I'm still around.
Out of all the time that you've been with this great industry and this great company, what do you think would be your favorite era? Was it the 80s, the 90s, the 2000s? Is it modern? Today's time?
It's a tough question to answer because there are different things that I like during different periods. I will forever cherish the relationship that I had with Bernard Rappaport. I had the opportunity to travel with him. I've had an opportunity to go with him to the AFL-CIO conventions. I had an opportunity to go with him to Washington, D.C. In fact, Micha was 12 years old. That's 31 years ago. We were at Clinton's inauguration, sitting out in the cold weather with Bernard Rappaport and Audrey in the audience under the rotunda. So those are things that you will forever cherish because these are things that are not coming back. For him to take Micha and to walk into Kennedy's office and to different senators and expose him on a whole different level to what there is here, 12-year-old child, and today he is a state general agent in this company. So that is an era that and the relationship that I had with Bernard and Audrey, it's an era that I will always hold close to my heart. At the same time, working with Roger Smith, who was an individual that I look up to and somebody that I respect greatly for what he's done with the company, and to watch him turn this company around at that period of time. That period was also very, 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 very good in the way I operated. It opened my eyes to understand what I needed to do, and it gave me the opportunity to work with people in partnerships, which is not an easy thing to do sometimes. But at the same time, I got to tell you, two brains in any business are better than one. So you got to put your ego to the side and say, okay, this is what I got to do. It's the same thing that you do in the military. I was a company commander when I was 22 years old, and ran 100 paratroopers under fire, and was I won't get into the details, but I will tell you that formed my personality and the ability to work with people. When you understand that you could do that, you could lead people in business also.
I love that. You've had some legendary leaders with, Bernard Rappaport and Roger Smith. And, with that, what would you say would be the number one most impactful thing you've learned from each of these CEOs that you served under?
Wow. From my standpoint, and it's not just learning from the CEOs, but all of us will say the same thing, Bernard Rappaport and Roger, never forget where you came from. Never forget where you were. Sometimes we get ourselves so big, our heads become so big for our bodies because of where we are and what we've done, and look where I am, and look how much money I'm making, etc., etc. I came to this country with $7,300 pinned to my wife's bra. That's all we had, and we ran out of it. And when I started with this company, I didn't have $249 to pay my mortgage. So I had nothing when I came in. And anything more than that was a gift. Don't forget where you came from. And by that, I'm saying don't forget that it's your opportunity to give back and support other people that don't have. The way I learn it, money doesn't belong to us. Money belongs to God. You are put on this earth as a vessel. If the money comes through you, it's your job to spread it to those people that need it more than you do. And we should never forget that, because we're not taking it with us. We came into this world with nothing, and we're going to leave with nothing. I don't know why I'm becoming so philosophical, but that is my belief, and that is what I preach to people around me.
I love it. I love it. Why do you think, why do you think the insurance industry is so much, such a special place to find a career, and so different when it comes to the quality of people that you can really find? It seems to me that some of the top leaders, in this company are some of the best people I've ever met in my life. They're grounded with their families, spiritually, great leaders in their communities. What do you think it is about this industry that attracts, individuals like that, and attracted you?
Well, what attracted me was being broke and having to feed my family. So to tell you that I knew what I was going to do, I didn't. It was go out and just give it a shot. Like I said, I didn't have insurance on the list of things I wanted to do when I grew up. But what's attracting them today is finding so many younger people that are doing so well in this industry, and more the women than the men. I think there are more women, successful women, that are making top dollars and making the income of the top 1 or 10% of earners in the country that are in the insurance business. Women are better salespeople than the guys are. Women are better leaders than the guys are. I mean, look what's going on with the women in this world today, and this country. They're taking over. They're taking over positions in politics. They're taking over positions as CEOs. They're taking over positions in leadership. And this company has the ability to find them, to make them successful, and to pick the right ones and move them up. So it's a different era. I don't think it could have been done 40 years ago. Yeah. The world was a little different 40 years ago. Today, you have the exposure and the exposure in social media that puts that opportunity under people's noses a lot easier than it was back then.
Yep. What do you think? What do you think it is? Do you think that? Well, let me rephrase this. So, with right now, we have a lot of really powerful women SGAs in the company, right? Like Laura Fisher, Sabrina Lloyd. Was that still the same? Oh, Cindy Fuhrer, right?
Yeah.
Was that still the case?
An old-timer.
What did you say?
Cindy is an old-timer. She's been in that position for a lot more years than a lot of the other women you mentioned.
Yeah, she is. She has been, right? And she still is in that position.
Yeah.
How long has she? How long have you known Cindy? And how long has she been an SGA?
I've known Cindy at least 30 years. Most likely more. Cindy was married to Bob Whittinghill, may rest in peace, that started with me in the 80s. So her brother was very influential in this company too, working with Bernard Rappaport.
Really? And so was Cindy one of the first SGAs, as the women SGAs, or was there one before that?
No. I don't know if she was the first, but she was one of the first, yes.
One of the first. Do you know who the first one was? Do you remember?
Wow. I have an excuse. I'm 71 years old. No.
I'm sure that was a special moment, but it wasn't like that. Was it like it is today, where there was multiple, where there was,
no, not like today. Not like today. I'm moving again. Whoops. Come on, there you go.
Now, today it's like there's probably I'd say at least a third of the SGAs are probably women, if not more.
And let me tell you something. I can see the day that there's going to be a woman CEO for this company.
Yeah.
I really believe that is coming before you know it.
Yeah. What was it like to have, I feel like when you think about some of the agents that you've developed personally, you spoke on Lily, there weren't a lot of. It doesn't seem like there was a lot of people really developing all-star women agents back then. What or was it? Was it something unique to kind of really develop and see the potential, or was it really one of the highest producing women in your office ever seen, or was it just her longevity?
Most likely not one of the highest, most likely the highest.
Yeah.
Most likely the highest. I mean, she has become so talented working with people and communicating and connecting with people, especially during this Zoom era. Her numbers speak for themselves in terms of production, in terms of income. And the more important thing is to realize the quality of business, because this girl has one of the highest qualities in this company. So if you're selling something and they don't keep it, if you have clients that are not satisfied, you're not going anywhere. So the knowledge is also knowing how to sell it the right way and how to keep that business on the books.
It almost seems like that could be another thing that you influence in this industry. Like, so, we try to find out and diagnose, what was it that this icon in this industry was able to really influence? What changes did they make? And, at first I was like, personal recruiting seems like, David Cohen's best personal recruiter.
No, I wouldn't put that on my resume, but I will tell you that I believe that I was able to influence the quality of business, how to sell a policy right, and how to keep the business on the books, and how to make a profit in this business, most likely more than most state general agents in this industry. I made it a point of understanding the financial end of this business. I can give you a list of people that have been in my office training and going over the systems. If it's Eric Giglione, if it's Papas, if it's Laura Fisher, if it's Northern California, Southern California. People just recently, SGA from Mississippi came in here. The SGA from Miami came in here. My door has been always open. So when somebody asked to come in, or when they were exposed to the training and then asked to come in to learn the systems, my door is open. I believe that they have just a little bit that I put into this company by helping those numbers move up. I'm talking about persistency, and I'm talking about quality, and I'm talking about retention of business, because everybody makes more money. I remember the numbers when Mark McAndrew was at the convention in New York, and I think the company's quality at that time was 64. Company today is almost 80. And I said, I will put the time into helping you move up the quality of this business. What is in it for me? I said, I'd like to have $1 million for every point that I help you raise it. I wish he took that deal, because look at the numbers today. But the reality is, it takes training. It takes understanding why you're doing things. I sat with a master general agent and her two general agents yesterday morning, and explain to them what is the difference between having this type of quality or this type of quality. What does it take? If you write business, or you have your people write business, and understanding how to read the reports that the company puts in front of you in order to evaluate where you are, in order to understand your future earnings. We forget about that. I take pride in the fact that I've been able to collect. I cleared my accounts with this company, by the way, in 1979. I've collected renewals from this company continuously since 1979. Jeez. You figure that out. And that's money that comes off of business that you wrote way back when, and you're getting paid today. I was able to clear my accounts as a state general agent when I broke away after 3 months.
What's the oldest account that still pays you renewals?
Yeah, I get business. I get renewals from Hawaii. I get renewals from New Mexico. I get renewals from Arizona. I get renewals from Las Vegas. I get renewals from Southern California for over 40 years that I ran it. And if you don't keep the business on the books, or you don't have happy clients, guess what? Renewals are not there.
It makes a lot of sense that you would say that, your most influential account, contribution to, the insurance industry and this company was the quality of business, especially when you look at Max Kasem, who's,
Yeah.
you know, one of the top producers of all time. You know, the number one producer that's done more production than any other producer in the entire company coming out of your deal. And then you do it again with Lily Sakai, who's also, you know, I think
Max is one special dude. Let me tell you something. He didn't do badly before coming with the company. He was making $70,000 a year, and this is again almost 20 years ago, as an executive with Bank America. Max is one of the hardest working people I know. Max understands the value of this business. Max solidifies his relationship with the clients. Max has his clients coming back to him, and only him, will not anybody else in the door. Max and Michelle have had a wonderful relationship with myself and my wife, may she rest in peace, for a long period of time. We're in touch on a regular basis. Sometimes we don't, especially now, we don't talk for a few weeks. I used to speak to him every single week when I was a state general agent. Today he has Micha and has Sean, but that guy is a Hall of Famer. That guy is somebody that I respect for what he does, and I respect for how consistent he's been. Because you can be a hero one day. Everyone has ups and downs in anything they do. With Max, there is no up and down. Max is only one direction. And the stability of his business, the type of person that you can count on, going week in, week out, month in, month out, year in, year out. My hat is off. I mean, that guy is one of a kind. There's no question.
Yeah, I wonder what renewals on on $4 million of ALP look like.
Oh, he lives a nice life. He has his kids and grandkids taken care of.
Yeah.
Okay, and I'll tell you what, he is a smart guy that invested in Torchmark, now Globe stock, ongoing for most likely 15 years. He's done very well.
Yeah. So is that what it was about? Is that your leadership that was allowed you to produce producers like Max Kasem and Lily Sakai? Was it the persistence that you taught? Was it the military background? What do you think it was about your leadership style that enabled that?
People needed to know that you cared for them. People needed to know that they counted. People needed to know that they had access to you morning, noon, or night. People needed to know that they could walk into the office, they could pick up the phone, we could go and have dinner together. I mean, things that go beyond. I mean, I went to Max's daughter's wedding. I went to Lily's wedding. These, when those things happen, they don't have to invite you, and that's okay if there's certain people that have their happy occasions in the family and they don't invite you. But those that do and those that you connect with are the ones that stay with you because they care. The ones that stay with you because they respect you. The ones that stay with you because you care and you have a connection with them. The ability is not just it's not developing them and getting that relationship going. It's to be able to attract them and bring them into the business. These are people that I hired face-to-face during the face-to-face hiring. Sean, I hired. Rick Roth, I hired. Ernie, I hired. Ernie just celebrated 25 years with the company, and I did not communicate, but I saw an email that he sent to me that said, "Say thank you for your father for hiring me 25 years ago." Dominic Bertini, I hired. I can go down the list one after the other. These are people that I connected with during the hiring process. That's the tough thing to do. When you have to bring someone in that doesn't know who you are, and he's just counting on that few minutes that you have eyeball to eyeball, and trying to buy you as an individual, not only the opportunity, but believing in you that you can take them and you can put them up on the next level and make them successful in this business. That's the key to being successful in the business, to attract the right person. I gave you the description, which I was taught years ago, is to hire people that can do what you can do better than you can, even when you're not around.
Love that. I love that. So what does it feel like? I heard an interesting, quote from I don't know if the quote was from Damon Green, but it was a quote that I heard him say in a podcast, and it was that your dynasty doesn't start with you; it starts after you. So, what does it feel like to have your son, continuing your dynasty now in the insurance industry and continuing the great work that you started and all these other great men started so long ago?
I have one word for that only: pride. Pride. I mean, because I am not doing anything. The pride that I have today, and I've said that to them a number of times, watching Micha and Sean operate as a newer partnership and working as well as they work together and continuously learning and taking this agency to the next level, I have nothing but pride. Yeah, I feel like I had something to do with it, but really at this point I have nothing to do with it. It's all them. I'm just sitting back down and in Jewish you say and kvel, that and just enjoy the sight of what's happening in this agency. That's what it is.
Love that. So, with that, let's talk a little bit about longevity. You've been in the deal so long. What do you think is the secret to really having a long, successful career in the insurance industry?
I've had enough times that I said, let me quit. It's getting a little too hard. And Jenny used to say to me, whatever you decide to do, I'm behind you 100%. And at the same time, the support that I had from my wife and from my children during that period of time helped me get over the hump and stay with this company. The philosophy that I had when I was in the military, what I was taught, is that you can never lose a war. If you lose a war, that means that you're dead. If you lose a war, that means that you don't have a country. It's the same attitude I took in business. When you stand there and start thinking about yourself, you got to think about all the other people that are around you, that you open the door and promise them to have a good opportunity and to back them up and to get them to success. And that kept me going. What kept me going is getting one more person to success and one more person to success and another person into position of leadership and another person to move up, and realize that you have a little bit to do with any person that you bring in, just a little bit, because they're the ones that are going out and doing what needs to be done in order to be successful. But if you can contribute to their success, it makes a difference. That self-satisfaction that you gain from other people's success keeps you going. It's very easy to walk away from this business and go sit on the beach somewhere and enjoy life. My fun and my joy is with my kids and my grandkids, and they're around me all the time. So I get that, I get to enjoy that, and I get to enjoy working with the people in this business and still having a little influence on those in this agency, in this organization. So I want to be here and contribute as much as I can, as much as my health will allow me to. I'm not giving you a retirement day because retirement is just a title. I remember, I'll tell you a story. I remember my dad being let go from his position at work at the age of 65. Wow. I remember it like yesterday. My father would have been 104 years old this year. And it was like somebody took away his manhood. And somebody took away it was, I have time. I have something to still do in this world. And he worked part-time for other organizations, but it was never the same. Mm. So I know this company, I'm talking about Globe, doesn't let the CEO stay here past the age of 65. I'm not going to comment on that because I'm on camera right now and I'm being recorded, but I will tell you this. What's wrong with 66 and 67 and 68 and 71 and 83? If you have the ability, look at what Warren Buffett is doing today. and he is way beyond that age. Why not let a person do what they can do and lead at that age. Nothing wrong with having youth in here. Nothing wrong with bringing a new individual that can do it better. I don't know. But I believe that we don't keep those individuals that have that experience, have that drive, and take advantage of individuals that have that knowledge way beyond 65 or 70. So I've had enough people in this organization in the 70s and 80s that worked under me, people that today are not around, and they stayed here literally till the day they died. That's the belief that they have in this company, and their families have the opportunity to collect the renewals, obviously, for their effort and the time that they put into it. This company is going places. This company is somewhere around 10,000 agents. I don't think it's going to take long, and I'm not talking another 20 years. It won't take long for this company to double in size and double in productivity and to move forward, because it has something to offer. And that is opportunity for the young generation and the new people that are not even here. I always tell leaders, realize that you have not hired your next superstar yet. He may be the individual that's responding to your ad or walking into the office tomorrow. Take every individual that walks in and treat them like they're the next superstar.
So, David, as we get to the end of of our podcast here, what are some of the different ways that you give back to some of these younger generations you're talking about? Like, is it just through, business, or do you believe in charities or anything like that? Any charities that you regular?
It's business and it's charity. During our period that I was a partner with Micha, we've done blood drives and brought hospitals with their beds and with their blood donation equipment into the office and donate blood. We've contributed to homeless causes. We've contributed to food banks. We've contributed to Cancer Society. We've contributed to Children's Hospital. We get the agency involved with giving back something. And I believe that when people understand that they're not just doing it for them, but they're doing it in order to provide something back to the community that they live in, it becomes a little more important than just making money. So that is the attitude that we've had. That's the philosophy that we've had. That is I got to say, the philosophy that the company has had and Globe has had over the years since they took it over. Wherever we go to a convention, or wherever we go to a state general agent meeting, there's always an opportunity to get involved with a charity event in that community. But definitely still continues with Sean and with Micha, giving back to the community that they're in.
Love it. So with that, I was wondering if you could just close us off with maybe one of your favorite memories in this company.
Oh boy, there's so many of them. Go dissect it and try and figure out what's my favorite memory. You know what? I'm going to tell you something. I'm going to take you all the way back to the day I walked in the door. I know where I went to buy my jacket and my tie. In fact, this is a picture for being Agent of the Year in the winner of Push Month in 1980 and number 2 in the company. You see, look at the hair I had then, huh? Look at my grandkids; they have the same hair that Dad and Grandpa has. Okay, this is the jacket and the tie that I wore when I got hired in this company. I walked in with a jacket and tie. The point I'm trying to make here is I didn't have. I remember shaking in my shoes saying, well, am I going to get hired or not? Because I didn't have any money in the bank. I needed to feed my family. I will forever remember that, because that's the start of your career. That's, again, remembering where you came from and remembering where you were before you started with this company. And I believe that any individual that is successful with this organization, if you talk to Roger, if you talk to Eric, if you talk to Mark, if you talk to papas, if you talk to any individual that's been successful, you talk to Sabrina, they all remember where they started. They all remember where they came from, and they all remember mama and papa that taught them how to be successful in life, not on an individual for business, not on a business level, but as people. Because who you are and who you become starts at home. It's your mom and your dad.
Family, nothing more important.
Yep.
Love that. Well, David, it was such a pleasure spending this hour and 10 minutes talking with you. And
wow, that long, huh?
Yep. Learning how you influence this business. It's such an honor to be able to work with this company, and it's it's a privilege to talk to the men and women who put the foundation in place and gave this opportunity to so many individuals, just even like myself, who for doing media in the insurance industry, right? So definitely a great experience. What would you like? Where would you like our audience to check you out? Or do you have any upcoming projects and things you're working on, or maybe just have them check out your agency at Cohen Velasquez?
Everything has to be done through Cohen Velasquez. I am one of the dinosaurs that have never signed on to social media. I'm not on Facebook. I'm not on Instagram. I'm an eyeball-to-eyeball person. My door is open. I am available. I'm accessible, and I'll gladly help any individual that would like to be helped.
Love it. So if you guys want to check out David, you can always check him out at CV Agencies on Instagram or anywhere on the web. David, it was such a pleasure to have you on Insurance Influencers. Thank you for influencing this industry and for all that you have sacrificed. God bless. And
thank you.
And we appreciate you for coming on.
Thank you.